Much Ajay, Prof. Saha, Prof. Ajay, for giving me this opportunity to speak here. I do not know when Prof. Dave had invited me, I said that I can talk for a topic like this. He said that will be very relevant. I hope it is relevant. I don't know. But I thought I will give a little perspective of the development of sciences in India and take over from what Dr. Dwivedi mentioned in the inaugural session. I think everyone must have a little perspective. I have about 45 to 50 minutes. Please remind me after about 40 minutes that my time is almost over. So I thought I should first mention about our scientific contributions in the past. You see, all students, in my opinion, must have a little background of the history of how we have achieved so much and how we have to achieve more in the coming 10 years or 15 years. For example, in the 6th century BC, Pythagoras, the Greek mathematician and philosopher, was familiar with Upanishads and learned his basic geometry from the Sulva Sutras. And then about 350 years before Christ, Chanakya, also known as Kautilya, authored the ancient treatise called Arthashastra. This book had a section outlining the processes for metal extraction, and that was 350 or 2,500 years back. Then, as you all know, Aryabhatta was in 5th century. He was a great mathematician. This is our heritage. The younger generation must know about it. That planets rotate on their axis, causing day and night, and follow elliptical orbits. And he also explained the causes of the solar and lunar eclipses. And then we had Bhaskaracharya, who made great contributions to mathematics. Then we have, most of you may have seen, the Iron Pillar in Delhi, which is built in the 5th century, which appears to have been protected from rust by the application of thin coating of manganese dioxide. So we had thin film technology in the 5th century. Then, about exactly 1,000 years back, Alhazen, who is actually from Mesopotamia, which is now in Iraq, wrote the first book on optics. It is because of this book that we celebrated the International Year of Light. The UNESCO celebrated the International Year of Light in the year 2015. This is the cover page of the translated edition of Alhazen's Optics. Nobel Prize winning physicist Abdul Salam said, Alhazen was one of the greatest physicists of all time. He made experimental contributions of the highest order in optics. And then Jagannath Temple in Puri was built in the 11th century, and engineers used iron girders and beams on a scale unknown in any other part of the world. So we were very good even in engineering subjects, in topics related to civil engineering. To quote from the book on Science in Translation, it is written there that texts from Persia and India also contributed to astronomy. So in the last few slides, what I have tried to tell you, that about 1,000 years back, the whole belt from China to India to Iran to Iraq was very highly advanced in science and technology. We were much ahead of Europe, and of course America did not exist at that time. And during the early British period, the ships were exported from India. Nalanda University was founded in the 5th century. It is said to be one of the first great universities in recorded history. The university was an architectural and environmental masterpiece. At its peak, it had 10,000 students and attracted scholars from Korea, Japan, China, Persia. The university died a slow death about the time that some of the great European universities, including those in Oxford, were just getting started. Then came the relatively dark period. You know, even Nalanda University was burnt down by the invaders in the year 1197. So after that, during that period, religious fanaticism took over in our country, and we submerged into darkness. So then came the relatively dark period in the development of mathematics and science in India.
Schools of learning were converted to madrasas. Even the Hindu gurukuls also succumbed to the influence of orthodox Vedantism, and the development of mathematics and science did not take place. This was also the dark period in Europe, because as some of you will know, on 17 February 1600, Bruno was burnt to death by the church because he believed that the earth went round the sun and not the other way round. And the church said that it is the sun which goes around the earth. Bruno stuck to his idea, and so great was the influence of church, of religion, that he was taken to the main market and was burnt to death, and his tongue tied so that he cannot speak. So that was the religious fanaticism even in Europe. Then came the Renaissance, the revival. Galileo is often called, as you all know, father of modern physics. Galileo carried out this famous experiment, not from the Tower of Pisa, where he threw two balls of different masses and they took the same time in reaching the ground. The earlier concept was that the heavier ball should go fast, but he was the first to demonstrate this experiment. Galileo also enunciated the principle that the laws of motion are the same in frames which are moving with constant velocity from each other, and we have what is known as the Galilean transformation. He also believed that it is the earth which goes around the sun, and because of this belief, the church imprisoned him. He was sentenced to, in 1633, he was sentenced to imprisonment because his views were contrary to the views of the church. He was required to reject, curse and detest. And you see, his friends advised him that he will be burnt to death like Bruno if he stuck to his thoughts. So he said, okay, I was wrong, and he went against his conscience. So such was the tremendous influence of the church. And we all should be careful. Whether we are Hindus or Muslims or Christians or whatever we are, we all should be careful. And then, after Galileo, Isaac Newton came, who made revolutionary contribution to science. He gave laws of planetary motion. He described the elliptical path, orbit of the planets. And after Galileo and Newton came the Industrial Revolution in Europe, not in India. So this was also partially mentioned by Dr. Dwivedi in the morning lecture. Then came the Industrial Revolution, which started around 1760 and involved, for example, going from hand production methods to machines. This is James Watt's steam engine and model of the spinning machine. So this Industrial Revolution, however, this Industrial Revolution which came in Europe did not happen in India, because we were submerged in religious beliefs, both Hindus and Muslims mainly, and to a certain extent Christians. And this is what I want to tell the younger generation, that one should be very, very careful about. So the development of science and technology did not take place. It was only on 20th, exactly 200 years back, that you all should know, which is the oldest college in India. It is the Hindu college. It was only on 20th January 1817, the Hindu college in Calcutta was formally opened with 20 scholars. This was the first institution of higher learning in the modern sense in Asia. And this came during the British Raj. The foundation committee of the college was headed by Raja Rammohan Rai, whose painting is on the left, along with 6 others who donated their personal wealth to establish the college. And in 1855, it was renamed as Presidency College, and in 2010, it became Presidency University. So that is the starting point of higher education in modern sense in India. Today we call ourselves knowledge economy. It is because of the foundation that was laid there. And then came the 3 universities. So the pioneering discoveries of Jagdish Chandra Bose in physics and plant physiology. You must know these. The younger generation must know these great people who were born and brought up in India, and of Prafulla Chandra Ray in industrial chemistry were made in the laboratories of Presidency College. And this is I tell you, Prafulla Chandra Ray was the founder of Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals, India's first pharmaceutical company. And this is the microwave apparatus of Jagadish Chandra Bose, and many people believe that he should have been awarded the Nobel Prize and not Marconi. So the next is a photograph of some of the great minds at that time in 1930. And you have Jagadish Chandra Bose at the center, and then you have Satyendranath Bose, and then you have Meghnad Saha and many other people. Look at their simplicity in attire, in the dress, and the profound minds that they had. Each one deserved a Nobel Prize. Really. Jagadish Chandra Bose, Meghnad Saha, and Satyendranath Bose, some of it. So the National Academy of Sciences India, and I work for that right now, was established by 1929 by Professor Meghnad Saha. And an academy, Meghnad Saha said, an academy of science can do a great deal by educating public opinion, undertaking particular problems, and bringing out scientific workers in various fields for discussion and cooperative research. And then in 1857, you must know when these universities were set up, first universities were set up. The British government set up 3 universities, first in Madras, then in Calcutta, and then in Bombay, similar to the structure of University of London. So people say this is the starting of higher education in the modern sense in India. Really. And this is the Bombay University in the mid-19th century. Then read this carefully. In 1869, in an article entitled On the Desired, in 1869, remember, the Presidency College was set up in 1817, the 3 universities were set up in 1857, and in 1869, a medical doctor, Mahendralal Sarkar, a great visionary and philanthropist, wrote the following, that the prevailing backwardness of the country was due to backwardness of science. And this is true even today. 30% of our population is below the poverty line. We all sitting in this room are very privileged. All of you, and myself included, we do not belong to the top 10% of the society. We do not belong to the top 1% of the society. We probably belong to 0.01% of the society who have had the privilege of studying in a beautiful university like this. You all must realize that. You must take advantage of this. And even the teachers who have come here, let me tell you, you all are very privileged. I consider myself extremely privileged to be associated with an institution like IIT Delhi. So we must work very hard and do what we are asked to do. That the prevailing backwardness of the country was due to backwardness of science, and the solution was in the vigorous pursuit of sciences by original research. And this is true even today. And on 29 July 1876, he founded the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science at Beaubazaar Street, Calcutta. We have Dr. Siddharth, who has done his graduation and PhD from there. It's a great institution that was created, that is the first institution created for basic research. And then from Beaubazaar Street, it was shifted to the present campus at Jadavpur. On the new campus, on the lawns of the new campus are the statues of Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar and Professor Meghnad Saha, who in 1948 prepared a master plan of the day. You must know your heritage. You must know which one are the first universities that are created in our country, and the first R&D institution in our country created by a medical doctor through personal donation. Not by the government. He didn't want any interference from the British government. He wanted an institution which is native and completely which he can control himself. And he would earn the money by organizing lectures by people, great people like Ashutosh Mukherjee. I don't know whether the younger generation has heard their name, or Jagadish Chandra Bose or Ishwar Chandra Vidyasakar. So he would organize lectures, he would collect 1 anna. Many of you would not know what anna is. Anna is 16th of a rupee from everyone who comes in. And that's how he collected the money to create this institution. We require many such institutions in our country for research and development. And this was created in pre-independent India. And now we are independent and we have so much of money to spare. Then C.V. Raman, as you all know, arrived in Calcutta in June 1907. He was employed by the accounts office by the British government. While riding a tramp to work, he soon spotted the Indian Association for Cultivation of Science, and there he set up the famous Raman spectrum measurement. And this is the experimental setup as drawn by C.V. Raman himself. You have a mercury source and a lens which condenses and falls on a benzene liquid or carbon tetrachloride, and the light that is scattered goes through a collimator, then a prism, then a telescope. This is a simple experimental setup using which Krishnan got the Nobel, discovered what is now known as the Raman shift of spectral lines. Maybe some other time I will tell you more about the Raman effect, and got in the 1930 Nobel Prize. This is C.V. Raman with his spectroscope, and which is now available. Now you can see that at the IACS building. In the year 1893, Swami Vivekananda and Jamshedji Tata were on board on a ship going to Canada. Swamiji asked Tata, read this, where he was going and what was the mission. Jamshedji Tata said, Swamiji, I am going with a mission to bring steel industry to country, to India. That was a great contribution by Jamshedji Tata. He brought steel industry to what is now known as Tatanagar, or Jamshedpur. And to this point, Swami Vivekananda said, and read this, to which Swamiji said, it is indeed a beautiful mission. However, I would like to suggest that you start an institute, a laboratory to do advanced research on this subject. And inspired by Swami Vivekananda, who was a monk, as you all know, had no background in science and technology, but he had the vision that if India has to get out of poverty, then you must create a laboratory to do advanced research on this subject. So inspired by Swami Vivekananda, Jamshedji Tata created Indian Association, Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore. And with his own personal wealth, 30 lakhs at that time was a tremendously large amount of money. He donated his personal wealth to create this great institute. And Jamshedji Tata, as you all know, was a Parsi. He was not a Hindu, he was not a Muslim. Many people say that India has not got a Nobel Prize after C.V. Raman. Why? And my answer to that question is, we don't require people like Raman. It is not a matter of shame that we do not have Nobel Prize winners. What we require today are people of vision. People like Jamshedji Tata, people like Homi Bhabha, who created a chain of institutions in our country. And both Jamshedji Tata and Homi Bhabha were Parsis who migrated from Iran to India. So those who say that West Bengal is for Bengalis, or Assam is for Assamese, or Maharashtra is for Maharashtrians, they will take the country to complete darkness. And this is happening in every state. And I am very pained at this age to see this. And I want to tell the younger generation to wake up. That it is only through development of science and technology that the poverty can be removed, that the great institutions can be built. And you must see the contributions of people who have immigrated to India and created, I feel as a scientist or a teacher or as a researcher, the contribution of Homi Bhabha is greater than all other scientists put together. Contribution to industry by Jamshedji Tata is greater than anyone else. And today if we say that the Parsis do not belong to India, That will be a shame, that will be a disaster. And in my opinion, I don't want to get this recorded, but what President Trump is trying to do for a country like the United States is a very wrong thing. Today America is great because it got talent from all parts of the world. That is the only reason, that they respected the talent. I had a great time when I did my PhD there. But if you become narrow-minded, if you think that India is for Indians, Bengal is for Bengalis, then we will be doomed. India became independent in 1947. After independence, because of the base that was created in the 19th century and early part of the 20th century, India put a lot of emphasis on higher education and research. That was Pandit Nehru's vision. And he made a tremendous contribution. People like Homi Bhabha, S.S. Bhatnagar, M.N. Magnath Saha, we must recognize the tremendous value of their contribution. India put a lot of emphasis on higher education and research, which has resulted in many significant achievements in science and technology. And I will mention a few. Indians, the ISRO, as you all know, recently created last year a world record by sending 104 satellites in a single rocket. This is a tremendous technological achievement because of which we all should be very proud of. Many of us say that India mein kuch nahi hua. That is not correct. That is not correct. This is totally indigenous technology, because no one will give us the technology by, even if you give 100,000 rupees or $100 million. You have to build it yourself. So therefore the necessity of institutions like this, these are not just universities, these are temples of learning. And don't create political bases here. Learn and make others learn. Then we have the nuclear energy in India. And this is totally indigenous, because no one will give us the secret of nuclear energy. If we have built an atomic bomb, then it is totally Indian. And so therefore, for having the satellites, for creating the satellites, for putting them in orbit, we must have trained scientists and engineers. To produce nuclear energy, to make our own reactor or even atomic bombs, we must have our own engineers. India has a flourishing and largely indigenous nuclear power program and expects to have 14.6 gigawatt of electrical nuclear capacity by 2024. Then we have in the recent years, and this is our Prime Minister's great vision, India has achieved 20 gigawatt solar capacity goal 4 years ahead of deadline. This is a remarkable achievement. The evolution of these solar panels, along with LED bulbs, which consume very little power, is going to transform our country. This is the vision of our Prime Minister, and I hope he is extremely successful in that. I am not a BJP person. I am not a BJP person, but I admire him. So I admire Arvind Kejriwal, who is the Chief Minister of Delhi. You must admire people for what they are doing for this country, not for their religious beliefs. Although I am a Hindu, I am proud to be a Hindu, and I don't want to change my religion for anything. That is besides the point. That is what I want to emphasize. That is what I want to tell the younger generation. Religion is at one place which allows you to lead a good life, to have compassion for others, to help others. Oh, I can go on speaking on that. So, the Green Revolution in India. So therefore, there are many such things which have happened in post-independent India, of which these are all indigenous technologies, and of which we are very proud of. So during the past 2 decades, we have witnessed tremendous all-round technological growth in India. TV in villages, availability of internet in remote areas. According to Wikipedia, India has about 1.2 billion mobile phones in use. China has about 1.3 billion mobile phones, and USA is third in the list of about 328 million. We have really achieved so much. Today, we all sitting in this room are very, very fortunate. We have the cheapest internet facility in the whole world. On your cell phone or on your iPad or on your laptop, you can see or you can get any information. You want to listen to Feynman lectures? You can, if you just want to know, tell me the theory or special theory of relativity or general, there will be 10 such articles that you can read. Tremendous wealth of information. On the other hand, you have pornographic sites on which you can spend your time on. The choice is yours, the choice is ours. It is free. We are living in a generation, the IITs and IISCs have made a phenomenal contribution that they have produced these NPTEL lectures, in which I have taken a small part. You take quantum mechanics or electromagnetic field to digital signal processing to advanced algebra, all these 42 lectures of a particular course are there on the net, free. This is unbelievable. So let us suppose your quantum mechanics teacher is not good, your physics teacher is not good. You can go to the Khan Academy lectures and learn everything in the school level, science, mathematics. You just need free internet or cheap internet. And today, because of the technological revolution, we have almost free internet everywhere, cheapest in the whole world. So we all are privileged. Use this. You are living in great times. I am living in great times. But we have achieved so much. But then, this is last year's photograph from Times of India. 10 manual scavengers died in the sewers of Delhi, national capital. It does not matter whether BJP is in power or Congress is, all are responsible for this. It does not matter. So look at the filth our own countrymen are passing through. And why is that? And then there is a very beautiful video that all of you must see. That this is by Lisa Christine. Photos that bear witness to modern slavery. This is happening even today. Probably his grandfather took some loan of $20 from someone and he is forced into slavery even today. Children are carrying bricks and stones to the top of a hill. So, therefore, when you see such things, when you realize that 30% of the population is still under the poverty line, 30% means about 360 million people. That is much greater than the population of the United States of America. So we have a responsibility. We all sitting in this room belong to the generation who have a large amount of money and who are very, very privileged. So a lot remains to be done. And therefore, organization of a conference like this is extremely important. And this can be done, this can be achieved only through education with great emphasis on ethics. And this is my philosophy, not just my philosophy. I have borrowed this philosophy from people like Mahendralal Sarkar or Homi Bhabha. And of course, science and technology. It is only on the development of science and technology, educating the poor, educating women, that this country can get out of poverty. Nothing else. So how do I conclude this talk? I am in time. So I will go into a bit of religious issues. I don't want this to be recorded, but even if you record it, I'm an old man. So, so I don't care really. So how do I conclude this talk? Now listen to this carefully. So on several, my hero is Einstein. So he was asked, do you believe in God? And listen to the answer that he gave. I have read and reread Einstein on these issues. You must read that. So Einstein says, my religiosity consists of a humble admiration, read this, of the infinitely superior spirit that reveals itself in the little that we can comprehend about the knowable world. When you see this lovely bird, or see the structure of the beautiful eyes that all of us have, Who has designed them? There is a creator. There is a creator. Who has colored these beautiful fish under the water? Not in tens or hundreds, but in thousands. There is a creator. So that is Einstein's perception of God. So he says, we are in the position of a little child entering a huge library, filled with books in many languages. The child knows someone must have written those books. He does not know how. That is his concept of God. But then he makes a very profound statement. I would like all of you to read this carefully. He says, I do not believe in the fear of life, in the fear of death, in blind faith. I do not believe in a God of theology which rewards the good and punishes the evil. Read this. I do not believe in a God of theology who rewards the good and punishes the evil. Why did he say that? We all our religions say that if you do good, it will do good to you. It will not do good to you. Not necessarily. Why did he say that? Because here is a 10-year-old child. He is being taken to a concentration camp for no fault of his. Young women, children, men were taken to a concentration camp. He saw that. And these are the Holocaust survivors who were almost starved to death but were lucky enough to escape at the Auschwitz concentration camp. So not in hundreds, not in thousands, not in hundreds of thousands, but in millions people died, innocent people. And Einstein's question was God watching that? So these are the Holocaust survivors. Was God watching all this happening? This is the July 1968 cover of the Life magazine. Starving children of Biafra war. So Steve Jobs, about whom you must have heard, took this Life magazine to the church and asked the church pastor that does God know about this? What is going to happen to these children? Hundreds of thousands of children died of starvation. And his question was, why God did not do anything? So he said, I think different religions are different doors to the same house. Sometimes I think that the house exists and sometimes I do not. It is the greatest mystery. Even our own Mahatma Gandhi said, I worship God as truth only. I have not yet found him, but I am seeking after him. Why I am saying all this? Because even Swami Vivekananda said, one infinite, pure and holy, beyond thought, beyond qualities, I bow down to thee. Why I am saying all this? I am saying because I went to Calcutta recently, and the place where I stayed with my sister-in-law, in front there was a very nice footpath. And I saw there is a temple now. Someone has created that temple. And he is making hundreds of, maybe thousands of rupees per day or something like that. That does your God live there? It is totally wrong, totally corrupt, totally illegal. And in those of you who have been to IIT Delhi, there is a small gate. In front of it, there was a beautiful footpath, 20 feet wide. One fine day in the month of April, there were 4 holidays. I still remember, it is about 20 years back, in front of us, there was the Ram Navami, Good Friday, and then Saturday. 4 days, and some intelligent man of great vision, made a mandir there. And it is a new public nuisance, totally corrupt, totally wrong. I am a Hindu, but I think that this is total. But I don't have the strength to break that temple. So you see, and it is so crowded, and 20 years from now, 50 years from now, I tell my IIT friends that it will be one of the most Jagrat temples of the world. Because everyone going there saying that, please pass me that exam. And they will pass the exam. You need to say, you give 100 rupees for a first division and 200 rupees for standing first. Someone is doing that. But this is ridiculous. So I will skip this. So this is the slide that I admire most. I do not believe praying to any god in a temple. Anna Hazare said this, and I got it from Times of India. But instead, seek it in helping the poor, needy, and sick. And today we have a large number of people. This is not funny. The entire middle class is surrounded. Today we have, I was reading about Asaram today. Look at his life. And we are being fooled, we the educated people are getting fooled day after day by people like that. And when we see people like Virat Kohli worshipping them, we feel that there must be some truth in it. But, in my opinion, and then you have these Bhavishyawanis. This is absolute hoax. They are just making money. We have to be educated. So therefore, to summarize, there are no miracles. If you think that you will give 200 rupees to a temple and you will pass your PhD final, you are absolutely wrong. There is nothing that is going to happen. So there are no miracles, no God-men. And now I make a my relatives are also very angry with me. No astrology. No astrology. All this is hoax. These are money-making institutions. We have to be careful. If person says that he will do a miracle, and this is what Asaram did, this is what all these people did. And fool, educated people having PhD degrees. So the younger generation must be careful about it. So therefore, we live in difficult times. When peace and human security are facing new challenges at the individual and global level, education and research and technology development, that is the theme of today's seminar, is probably the most important thing today. Education is the key dimension of the long-term process of building peace, tolerance, justice, and intercultural understanding. The reorientation of the education to create a better world is truly urgent. So, Swami Vivekananda said, teach yourself. Teach everyone his or her real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come, and everything that is excellent will come, when this sleeping soul is roused to self-conscious activity. So long as millions live in hunger and ignorance, Swamiji said, I hold every man a traitor, who having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. So what I am trying to tell the younger generation is that all of us sitting here, including myself, we are very privileged. We have got tremendous amount of facilities and money from this poor country. We have to do something. We have to have at least compassion for the poor, compassion for the people who do not have as much. And I heard, for example, in villages in Bengal, the water that we drink is poisoned by arsenic. There are metal-related diseases, that person Dave was telling me. And if we can do something for that, it would be a remarkable contribution. So I end my talk with a controversial slide. Do all of you know how to read Hindi? Yes. Most of you know. Are there anyone who does not know Hindi? Because the next slide is in Hindi, the last slide. So, which I do not want to read. Well, I will read it to you. हम तेरे लिए कुछ नहीं कर सकते ए दोस्त, हमें अभी मंदिर और मस्जिद बनानी है. Thank you for your attention.